Department of Homeland Security and ICE have already said that a detainer has been put on this individual if he is to be released, and he will immediately be transferred into ICE custody.
A twice-deported criminal jailed for a decade for killing two teenagers in a drunken car crash will be released almost 7 years early. Oscar Eduardo Ortega-Anguiano was drunk, high, and speeding at 100 miles per hour when he hit another car on the I-405 in Seal Beach, California on November 19th, 2021. Teen sweethearts, Anya, Varfolomeev, and Nicholay, Osokin, both 19, were killed when their car burst into flames after Ortega-Anguiano plowed into them. Ortega-Anguiano, 43, was sentenced to 2 10-year jail terms to be served concurrently for gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated. But their parents were horrified to discover in February that he will be released on parole on July 19th after only serving about 3.5 years. And Larry, before I have you chime in, here's video of the parents of the deceased boy talking about the car crash.
The pain written all over the face of Pavel Osokin as he recalls being told his son Nicholay and his 19-year-old girlfriend Anya Varfolomeev, friends since they were kids, were gone.
They told me there was a horrible incident. My son and his girlfriend Anya basically were burned alive in their car.
She was my daughter.
Anya's father, Anatoly, got a similar knock on the door that night.
He said Anya's name. I said, yes, it's my daughter. My wife came downstairs and she was screaming and crying. She said, no, 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 no.
Larry, I mean, it's really hard to watch these things. I mentioned, the mother, the 37-year-old mother who was killed by an MS-13 gang member in Maryland that nobody talked to. Finally, Donald Trump did bring the mother of the deceased woman, the murdered woman, to the White House, but somehow the senators from Maryland don't seem to care about her. We should know these people's names. I guess that's the point of me showing you this. Why don't we talk about these people? We're only concerned about the people that are committing the crimes or here illegally, and we seem to all know their names.
Well, for the obvious reason that it would add fuel to the idea that Joe Biden has made this country far less safe by opening the borders for the last 4 years and doing nothing about these illegal aliens. The good news is that Tom Homan said the moment they set foot outside of prison, they're going to be deported. The other thing is that Gavin Newsom has even said something about this. Gavin Newsom wants to run for president. He doesn't want to be perceived as a California crazy, a soft on crime, allowing somebody who drove 100 miles an hour and wasted 2 Americans and served 3 years. He doesn't want to be responsible for people blaming him for that. So I think that somehow, some way, Gavin Newsom is going to figure out a way of making sure they stay behind bars, but we'll see.
Well, whether Gavin does something or not, and of course, yes, for political expediency, you could see him doing it. This administration is just not putting up with this nonsense. And Karoline Leavitt, I think, has just done a absolutely bang-up job as spokesperson. Take a look.
And our hearts just break for these families that are affected by these horrific crimes. And now to think that twice deported, now convicted criminal, someone who was here illegally, was able to kill 2 teenagers and will walk free. What does the White House say about that? Karoline, welcome.
Well, first of all, listening to the heartache from those 2 parents is truly heartbreaking, and our hearts are with them. And not only are we praying for them, but this administration is taking action. The Department of Homeland Security and ICE have already said that a detainer has been put on this individual if he is to be released, and he will immediately be transferred into ICE custody, we hope, if the state of California complies. And if not, the Department of Justice will be seeking a conviction against this man where he will spend time in federal prison for taking the lives of those 2 young Americans. So these results speak for themselves. President Trump is not going to tolerate illegal immigrant crime. And this individual case represents everything that is wrong with our immigration system. This individual was twice deported, but was allowed back into our country by the previous administration, took the lives of 2 young Americans, and is now barely facing any consequences. We will not tolerate it. We will not stand for that, and we will continue to enforce our nation's immigration laws and ensure that illegal immigrants who not only break our nation's immigration laws, but then further commit heinous acts of violence against law-abiding American citizens in our country are held to the fullest extent of the law.
Larry, one of the things I've been saying a lot on the show lately is that it's just so refreshing to have competent people, whether you agree with all of the policies of Trump or not, to just have people who can communicate these things properly, et cetera. But they brought up the point that you just sort of referenced, which is that Newsom may try to do something here to run cover on how ridiculous this is. But either way, it sounds like Trump's going to send ICE to get this guy. Like, he will not be wandering around America one way or another.
Yeah, either way, we shouldn't be talking about somebody doing 3 years when they've mowed down 2 people and they've given 2 10-year consecutive sentences.
All right, guys, let's jump up north for a second. Canada heads to the polls this Monday, April 28th, and it's shaping up to be a fascinating one. Now, if you want a clearer read on where things actually stand, not just the spin from political pundits or corporate media echo chambers, I always check what the betting markets are saying. Kalshi has a live market on who will be prime minister after the election, and you can see where the money's flowing in real time. It's not just vibes, it's what people are actually betting on. If you want to try it out, go to my special link at kalshi.com/Rubin, where you'll get $10 free when you trade 100. Big week ahead. Let's see how it plays out.